Good morning and welcome to Sportscast Live on Comcast Channel 26, also streamed on our Facebook page. I'm your host, Ed Nunez, along with our producer, Aldi Niawani. Our very special guest today, East Mountain Timberwolves head baseball coach, Christopher Moya. His Timberwolves beat St. Mike's 10-0 on Saturday for their first championship since 2012. And Coach, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, Ed. Appreciate it.
Yeah, this is a team, man, that set records for runs scored, averages 14.4 runs, the way I calculated it anyway, 14.4 runs per game, scored 418 runs on the season, team batting average of 446, team ERA of 198, stole 135 bases. Defensively, we saw your third baseman on was it Moorhead that made that great play?
Ryan Moorhead, yep.
You guys check all the boxes for a very dominant team. Congratulations on the championship. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, no, it was a fun weekend. These kids, been coaching them since they were little tykes, 5, 6 years old, started in T-ball, kind of stayed together. We're a small community out there in the East Mountains. So, that camaraderie, that maturity in baseball, it all came together right at the right time. So the team's loaded with seniors, and it was good to finish out their career at East Mountain the way they did. So
what a way they did it. You really did. St. Mike's had dramatic fashion the day before against Ruidoso. I had that game with Roger Cordova. And St. Mike's is down 6-1 to start the bottom of the sixth, and they put on 7 in that inning. Dramatic grand slam home run by Carson West to even get to the championship. And but you had beaten them earlier in the season 16-4. Was there any great confidence going in, or did you think about that game at all, or was it just we got to take care of business here today? You didn't worry about that. What had happened earlier?
Yeah, no. The scoreboard, everything resets when you get into the state tournament. Everybody's there for a reason. They've either won their district or they play pretty good to even get it to that point. So, anything that we've done in the past was out the window. Ruidoso is a good team. I thought they were going to sneak that one out there looking at that score. And, we played Ruidoso 3 times. They are in our district. And actually, our toughest district win came against Ruidoso. We beat them 7-6 in our first head-to-head matchup. So I knew Ruidoso is a good, solid team. They got by Santa Fe Indian School the day before. Santa Fe Indian School had a couple pitchers on there that I was concerned about playing, and Ruidoso had a really good, strong starting pitcher on Carson Stratton. So I knew if he was on, that matchup was going to be pretty good, and that got him into the next day against St. Mike's. So, knowing St. Mike's, they're a solid team. They're always there. Carson West is one of their better pitchers, and I knew he was throwing against Ruidoso, so I knew that was going to be a good game too, getting him through.
You mentioned Connor Stratton, and we had him against St. Mike's. That kid is a pest, man. He gets on base pass.
Yep.
Yeah, and then he's wearing those shorts, right? And we made this comment, and you're young. How old are you, Chris?
46.
Okay, you're young. But you may not have remembered this when the Chicago White Sox years ago with Bill Veeck wore those shorts. I don't know if you remember that. But we were laughing up in the booth. Jim Briggs was up there from the former head coach of Manzano. And Connor Stratton, he gets on base and steals 3 bases that day. And when he's on base, he's dancing. He's got speed, right? I don't know how many bases he stole. I got to tell you, he's one of the more entertaining players that I got to watch during the tournament because when he's on the base pass, he's going to wreak havoc. He's got range at shortstop. You mentioned he could pitch. And one heck of a ball player, man. I still don't understand why he's the only one that I've ever seen for years wear shorts like that. I mean, back in the day they did that. But you got to wonder about the strawberry effect when he slides, because that kid hits the bag hard, man. He does. Hits the bag hard. That kid is a ball player, man. He was a lot of fun to watch, and he almost got them into the finals. But you got to give Carson West a lot of. You mentioned Montalejo. He pitched really well. Then they went to the bullpen, and that's and those things happen. Those things happen. Coaches make moves that they think that no blame there on the Ruidoso coach. That's what he's I think Montalejo got a little tired. But back to your team, Coach. just an incredible. I mean, there's wins over Valley, Hope Christian. You beat St. Mike's, Robertson. The last loss was against Orlando Griego, who's a very good friend of mine, in Rio Grande. And that was way back on March 14th. After that, you reeled off 23 straight wins. A win against Dexter, 35-0. You beat Albuquerque High. You beat Ruidoso, you mentioned, in a close one, 7-6. You beat Matt McCoy is a heck of a coach at San Diego Prep. I love Matt. Matt's a good friend of mine. You beat him 20-6, 9-3. Dexter again, 31-0. Ruidoso, 29-3. San Diego Prep again, and you beat the defending champs, New Mexico Military Institute, 5-0. And they had a good team, man. They're the champs. You beat them again, 10-7. Beat West. Beat St. Mike's. Once you got that momentum, talk a little bit about that, because again, we mentioned the stats. You check all the boxes. Talk a little bit about how the team all came together in all those games. I mean, you got some ball players. We'll go over the batting averages here in a minute. But when you win 23 in a row, that says a lot.
Yeah, no, our last loss was, or our only loss actually on the season, was against Rio Grande, and I don't even call it a blemish on our record. We learned a lot that game, and in fact, we were up 4-3 late in that game. But Rio Grande is a very experienced team, well coached, and Coach Orlando over there. They started playing small ball on us and kind of put us back on our heels to kind of sneak out that win. And so we learned a lot there. We learned how to defend that small ball a little better, and also put that in our back pocket to execute against other teams if we ever needed it. So it was one of those losses that you'd like to go perfect on the season, but we take a lot from it. Then we rolled into district, and our district is always going to be tough. It's one of the better districts in 3A. A lot of good coaches in our district, and it's usually dominated by pretty good pitching. So we knew we had a tough task ahead of us, but our guys are mature. They've been around. The last East Mountain's always been, played in the state championship. I believe 4 years ago, lost in the first or in the quarterfinals 2 years prior, lost in the semis last year, and kind of chalked that up to really not executing offensively the last couple of years. We were rolling good, but then we get in that state tournament and just not really executing offensively. So we kind of changed our whole preparation this year. Went back to the simple things, keep everything simple, not try to put anything too elaborate in there. Play defense, throw the ball, catch it. But offensively, we hit a lot. We just changed everything we did from the start of January till now. Even this week for the state tournament, we were out there, and my whole goal was to everybody get 500 cuts this week going into that state tournament. So we hit twice a day. You hit on the field, hit in the cages, and then go back in at night, turn on the lights, and put the machine up and hit. So I think it paid off. We saw it all season with our sticks, and put up some good averages. So,
You know what's up? Obviously, you 446 team batting average. Now, when you said you didn't execute offensively, bad swings, undisciplined at bats. What are you talking about? What do you mean when you didn't execute?
Yeah, I'm talking about the previous two state tournaments. That was, we got knocked out by Robertson 2 years ago. Last year we lost 3-1 in the semis, and really, the at bats just weren't there, especially in the bottom part of our lineup. So this year we had a lot of depth to our lineup. Our 6, 7, 8, and 9 all hit over 300, and so going into this state tournament, I felt really, really confident that our depth in our lineup was going to get us over the top. We had everyone but one person in our lineup hit a home run this year, and so that was something
Really?
we're pretty proud of that. Our 8 and 9s, the last, I think, 4 games, our 8 and 9s combined for 4 home runs. So a lot of RBIs coming from the bottom part of the lineup. We were able to roll it and stack our lineup, and from start to finish, never made an adjustment in the lineup. Our 1 to 9 stayed our 1 to 9 from game 1 to game 29, and all performed. So,
Coach, that's really interesting to me, because during the season, sometimes you make changes. Someone's not, someone's slumping. It happens. Baseball is like that, right? It's like that. That you didn't do that tells me quite a lot. It really does. And then you talk about your 3, 4, and 5s are going to be that, right? And then your bottom of the lineup, though, And if you're an opposing coach and you have to face that, you're like, who do I pitch to? I can't pitch around this guy. I can't pitch around that guy. You saw that on Saturday. Andre Bryant had actually done a pretty decent job with his off-speed pitches in the first couple of innings from St. Mike's. Coach Cordova, I thought he had pitched the day before. And he doesn't overpower you at the plate. He's not going to pop the mitt, but he's hitting the spots. He's throwing that changeup. And for a while, he didn't do too bad. But Coach Cordova and I said this, there was only a matter of time before the Timberwolves were going to get to him, and you did. And when you strung it together, Charles Birdwell had the walk-off, and it was only a matter of time. But it's interesting to me that again the work paid off, but it paid off 1-9 because sometimes a guy at the bottom of the lineup has to bat 120. We got to get somebody right, but it didn't. So that tells me all the preparation and the work that you put in, and you mentioned that it paid off.
Yeah, our 9-hole against Sandia Prep and basically what chalked up to be at the district championship. We played them a few weeks back. Our 9-hole in the first inning gets up with bases loaded in the first inning and hits a grand slam. So, once it starts to roll, it rolls. And so we've been pretty fortunate, pretty blessed this year with a good offensive team. So,
oh man, a blessing is an understatement. When I watched this team, and Coach Cordova said that this is a team that puts the ball in play, and then when that happens, people have to be perfect. We saw some perfect baseball. Coach Cordova and I did, as far as Thursday relays, good defense, good catches. There were some amazing catches in that Ruidoso. Adam Bird had a great catch. There were some amazing. And so, you against a team like you, not only do you have to pitch perfect, but you have to play defense, keep people off bases. You throw, like I said, 133 bases. It's a nightmare, man. If you're playing, it's got to be something that's tough to prepare for. Coach, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk more about this year's version of the 2026 East Mountain Timberwolves after these messages on the sports desk.
Three-two pitch. Called third. A beautiful breaking ball to the outside corner from Evans.
Now it's left-handed pitcher versus left-handed batter. That one right down the middle. It'll beam across second and coming home for the Rams.
Tenth pitch of the at-bat. And it's well hit to right. Ledesma's on the run, and it'll be over his head. A 10-pitch at-bat turns into a double to the right field wall for Ethan Suina.
Expect a long baseball career for him after. Tried to reach from behind the bat to get there, and the Cougars now on the board for the first time today.
Here's 2-1. That's well hit through the hole in the left side. The windmill's on at third base. Nunez going to score standing, and it's an RBI double for McMullen as he took the extra bag.
And right after the bunt is laid down, the Rams
Evans ready. And look at that, beautiful piece of hitting. He just serves it into left, right where it was pitched, and it's an RBI for Saavedra to drive in Schrader. Beautiful piece of two-strike hitting for Saavedra with the RBI. That is socked into right center. It's a gapper for Saavedra. At least two are going to score. The windmill's on at third base. It's a bases clearing double for Damon Saavedra. 1-2. That's well hit into the gap. On its way is a towering 2-run homer for Everett Burdett. Runner stole second. That was Schrader. That ball is on its way! It's a birthday grand slam for Jay Squaller! Blow out the candles, young fella! He drives in all four!
Raising Cane's invites you to grab life by the chicken fingers. So get out there. Be you. Do you. Embrace whatever makes you, you. All while enjoying Raising Cane's hand-battered cooked-to-order chicken fingers, crispy crinkle-cut fries, buttery Texas toast, and that secret recipe cane sauce that makes everything that much better. So go on. Savor the day.
Raising Cane's chicken fingers. One love.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, red and green chili breakfast burritos, and frontier sweet rolls. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenprideabq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs are proud supporters of ProView Sports.
Jimmy John's toasted sandwiches take the fresh baked bread you love and turn up the heat to toasted perfection. Crispy and golden on the outside, melty and gooey on the inside. Order a toasted sandwich at Jimmy John's today.
Eagle Greens and Turf are a family-owned and operated business with over 25 years of experience in the home improvement industry. They are your exclusive dealer of celebrity green, synthetic putting greens, and artificial turf. They also have artificial turf that is specifically designed for your pets. Eagle Greens and Turf are proud sponsors of ProView Networks and can make your lawn green all year long at 505-273-2744. Burrito Express is proud to announce that we are the official burrito spot of ProView Networks. Since 1982, with 6 locations serving Albuquerque, Rio Rancho, and Roswell, the question is, red or green? Let's go to the burrito. Visit letsgototheburrito.com and order now.
Welcome back to the Sports Desk live on Comcast Channel 26, also streamed on our Facebook page. I'm your host, Ed Nunez. Our very special guest today, East Mountain head baseball coach Chris Moya. His Timberwolves, the 2026 3A baseball champions. They beat St. Mike's on Saturday, 10-0. Coach, welcome back to the show. And we had a good talk on break, and from you had some good, some good experience. You played in Tucumcari for John Spann, a very, very good friend of mine. John Spann has coached it all over there: baseball, football, basketball. The man has a tremendous heart. Someone who I love very, very much. And he's got to get our prayers for him. He's going through some sickness, and we pray for him. You also coached at the Albuquerque Baseball. You still do Baseball Academy with Jim Briggs. You mentioned Coach Briggs, who I got to sit next to the last 2 years at the Jennifer Reardon Complex, and love Jim. Jim, I don't know him well, but you just talk to him, right? Family, baseball. You've got some good mentors in your background. Talk a little bit about how your philosophy was shaped by being around people like Coach Spann and Coach Briggs.
Yeah, Coach Spann was high school coach of mine. Always a mentor, even to this day. Just for a guy like Coach Spann, it really wasn't about necessarily the fundamentals of whatever the sport it was that he was coaching, coached everything, but also, developing young men and making sure that they're leaders going forward. So, that's kind of a mentor of mine. Talked about coaching alongside Coach Briggs, with the youth stuff, and just listening to him, picking his brain when you're in the dugout, hearing some of the way he sees the game. He sees it totally different, and got me to see the game a whole different way. And, Also Timothy Campos over there at ABA, the pitching guy,
Oh, he is.
pitching guru. I love just sit there and talk with him and have conversations and, new techniques, new developments, things that, weren't around when I was playing, or new concepts. So, it's been great. And a lot of our guys here at, East Mountain High School, a lot of them play at ABA. They've been coached under Timothy Campos, Matt Foote, and all those guys. So, they bring a different pedigree to the field. So it's been good.
Was able to cover Connie Mack a couple years ago, and they played that Cuban team. ABA played that Cuban team, and God, that Cuban team was entertaining because they've got the whistles and the dances. Man, they were entertaining. ABA lost to them 4-3, bottom of the ninth, bases loaded, and one of the ABA guys struck out. But just to hear, that was some drama. That was. It was one of the funnest events I ever covered. It really was. Some great baseball, some great athletes, and I interviewed one team and after the game, and they were trying to make me laugh because they had their guys doing chicken fighting and all kinds of gyrations. They almost had me laughing, man, but I kept it together. But it was quite an event. So you've got some great experience there as well. We're going to go down the lineup here at your batting averages. I looked at them. Ryan Moorhead, 393. Ty Rector, 478 with 41 RBIs. Charles Birdwell, 615 with 9 home runs, 64 RBIs, 31 stolen bases. Your son, Christopher Moya, at 309. Dalton Springall, 349. Quinlan Gwyther, 414 with 30 RBIs. Aiden Madrid, 461, 48 RBIs. Brody Johnson, 427, 19 stolen bases. Cole Darnell, 429, 6-1 as a pitcher. Brandon Johnson, 464. Luke Sterner, 541, 48 RBIs, and we'll get to him in a second. Your team ERA, 1.96. Again, those batting averages. If you're the opposing team coach, you're like, how do we pitch to these guys, man? So those are all your batting averages. When I looked at it, I was like, there's not an easy out. And as a coach, you looked at, well, we can go right at that guy. We can pitch, right at him.
Yep.
Everybody in your lineup, it has to be dealt with in a certain way.
Yeah, no, lineup depth was huge for us this year, and I think any coach out there would love to have the depth in the lineup that we had, and that was legit. We put up a lot of runs. You mentioned the number earlier. I believe it set the state record for runs scored in a season. Not a lot of walks out there for us. We did get our fair share of walks, but a lot of our on base guys came from legit hard work, good ABs, putting the ball in play, and then guys coming up right behind them and driving those runs in. So, a lot of team at bats. We call them team at bats. Getting up there, we get to 0-2, taking a little bit off, trying to go backside on it, fighting in a count to get a pitch that you can hit, and really good approaches. So, we've talked about it the last couple years, and it started to really sink in. Just the way guys talked about their ABs, how, they'd get up there having at bat, maybe a bad at bat, may have gotten beat on something, walking to the guy on deck and letting them know what's coming and what we sit. So, it's been fun. It's been great to see all of this finally click and start setting in this year with these guys.
I saw that Saturday. Somebody had that bat. I think it was Charles Birdwell was talking in Madrid about what Bryant, who pitched that, by the way, again.
Yeah, great.
That kid,
great game.
Nothing overpowering, right? It's not going to pop the gun, but man, on the corner, boom, boom, hitting the spots until you guys got to him. But the guy I want to talk about and pitched a fantastic game on Saturday was Luke Sterner. Tell us a little bit about him. You and I had a talk yesterday, and you mentioned that he had said, I'm done after high school. I'm done. And then he changed his mind. He's hitting about 88 on the gun. He pitched out of 2 bases loaded jams on Saturday. And Coach Quarterman, same thing. He was hitting the spots. He picked off one of the runners for St. Mike's. Beautiful pickoff move. Tell us a little bit about his future.
Yeah, Luke. So we've been blessed here at East Mountain with 2 big arms. We have Luke Sterner coming from the left side, Cole Darnell coming from the right side. Pretty similar pitchers just coming at you from 2 directions. And so, Luke was going on after this year, was going to go to Texas Tech and get after school and get on with his life. But, the success of this season, We've talked a lot about it. I've talked a lot about with our guys about, you never want to hang it up till you really want to hang it up. And I respect the guys that don't have the opportunities to go and move on with their life. But he had some talent. And, about 3 weeks ago, he came to me and said, I'm not ready to hang this up. And so made some phone calls and kind of put it out there that he was not ready to hang it up and connected him with Lubbock Christian, and Lubbock Christian is taking him. So he's going to go on and pitch at Lubbock Christian. They're going to get a big lefty arm, and the fastball is good, but his bread and butter is his changeup and his breaking pitch, and he can really throw those for strikes and dominate hitters, and that's a good thing to have, especially from the left side. So he's been good for us. Been doing that for us since he was probably 7-8 years old. So been watching it grow and grow, and he's a big kid. And he's
Great.
only going to get bigger.
Oh man. Okay. Still going to get bigger. You're right. Natural maturation, right?
Yep.
Weightlifting, weight training for baseball. He got in a little bit of trouble. Okay. In the top of the fifth, I believe. And you went out and talked to him, and he got behind a couple hitters. They back-to-back singles. They loaded the bases. You went out and had a talk. What'd you say? Along with Andy Madrid, you're in your infield.
Yeah, so on that mound visit, really talked through slowing it down and executing pitches, getting extended out there. It was getting hot, and he was getting up there and getting tired, but really trying to, when we talked about it in the dugout, just trying to get the refocus put back in place and slow everything down. I think anytime you're in that situation, the heart rate starts to go up a little bit, you're getting hot, you're in a little bit of trouble. But there was never any doubt in our dugout that he wasn't going to get out of that. We've seen him, years past, load the bases, slow it down a little bit, break up the momentum, and execute pitches, and we knew he was going to get out of it. So
no thought about you didn't have the hook when you went out there. No thought about that.
No, the only thing that was on my mind there towards the end, he was nearing his pitch count. He only had a few more pitches left, and so if we didn't blow that thing wide open, we're gonna have to probably go to the pen. He had about 20 pitches left to end that game, and right before we had that little offensive explosion, I had to talk with him. I said, this is what you got. You got to get 3 outs on 20 pitches. If not, we're going to have to go to somebody. And so we had an arm ready to go, warming up in the pen, but didn't have to use it. So
everything came together, Coach. Everything
Absolutely.
did, man. And it's a season that, it's a dream season, right? It is. The batting average, you broke a record for runs scored. And, that's why you have to enjoy it, because these kind of seasons, you never know, right? And you very well could win more championships. But this one here, we got about a minute left. What's left? What's the next step? You've got some returning players for sure. You do graduate quite a bit of them, including your son. What's the future for East Mountain baseball look like?
There's a good crop of guys right behind him. A lot of our backups would be starters anywhere else if they didn't have all these seniors holding them back. So you got a couple good freshmen that got a lot of time on varsity this year. Brandon Johnson is one of them. Toby Gabaldon is another freshman. Not big in size, but 78 to 80 on the radar gun off the mound, and got a good group of kids coming up. So this is East Mountain's gonna be good for a while.
It sounds like you've got a good program and one that's going to be contenders for many years. Christopher Moya, East Mountain Timberwolves head coach, the 2026 3A baseball champions. They beat St. Mike's 10-0 on Saturday at Lobo Field. We appreciate you being our guest. We wish you the best of luck as continued success at East Mountain.
Thank you, Ed. Appreciate it.
For producer Alden Iwani, I'm Ed Nunez. We'll see you next week on the Sports Desk.